Today, we're going to be talking about how Christians should invest for the future.
Mhm.
So let's kind of jump in. I mean, whether you're talking personal growth, whether you're talking wealth, health, all of the above, what you sow today, kind of using that farming mindset, right? What gardening, whatever, determines your harvest tomorrow. So it's
Yep.
something that the activities you take today are going to be the results of your fruit down the road. So it's important, and we're talking about how to use your resources for your future self, your future generations, and your impact in the kingdom. So yeah, let's jump in,
Absolutely.
Wendy.
All right. Well, I guess first it's important to understand the purpose, right? Why invest? Um, and it's really not, it's not necessarily about like getting rich, right? But about multiplying what God gave us and ultimately to expand his kingdom and do his work. And, bottom line is we're called to reach people with the gospel, right?
Mhm.
Um, but in Matthew 25, he talks about the parable of the talents, right? And that's where he
I love
gives
that one. I love that one.
the talents. So you guys read that verses 14 through 30. But the parable of talents, the master gave out, talents, different amount to each person. And the one who buried it in the ground and didn't do anything with it and just saved it was the one he was the most disappointed in, right? And the one that he was most happy with is the one that invested it all and doubled what was there. So
Let's talk about that for a quick
Mhm.
second. I mean, and
Mhm.
that was a little bit of a surprise to me too. I read that parable years ago, but
Mhm.
it's like, okay, so the person who played it safe, why was he upset with him the most? What do you think?
Mhm.
What do you think that is?
Well, I mean, I think, and this goes far beyond money, but like what we're
Oh
given
yeah,
from God,
definitely.
any blessing that we have is a gift and it is to be used, not buried. Right. And I think that's the bottom line is we're supposed to money, right, is a tool that we're supposed to use and invest and grow and multiply our gifts and talents. I mean, that was a struggle for me when I first started as an entrepreneur. It's like,
Mhm.
the false humility, I say it's the insecurity disguising itself as humility. I don't want to show up too big or be, draw too much attention to myself. So we take our own gifts and talents and bury them thinking that that's us being
Mhm.
smart or humble, and it's not. All right, we're supposed to multiply what God has given us. We're supposed to use it as a blessing to the kingdom. And when you bury it in the ground, it's not put to work. It's not put to good use. So,
No, and that's I mean, you look at that and it's like, yeah, every one of us has been blessed, whether we acknowledge it or not, by God. You've been given gifts to use. You've been given abilities. You've been given resources, i.e., money. You've been given a healthy body when you were born, for the most part, right? There are instances on that where that's may not be the case, but you look at that and it's like, what are you doing with those resources that
mhm,
are God's resources? He's entrusting with you. And when it
right.
comes to your body, are you taking care of it, right? When it comes to your attitude, your demeanor, your service to others, do people look at you and say, man, that person, they've got a good walk with Christ. They've got, they're leveraging the resources. Same thing with your money. You've been entrusted with the resources. Are you playing it safe and just putting it in, a savings account or a CD or something? Don't get me wrong, there's a time and a place for everything, but if that's your main source because of fear of loss or something like that, you're not turning it around and being able to use that and leverage that for the broader expanse of the kingdom, right? And
Mhm.
we talked about things like that. Actually, we had somebody come back and say, I can't believe you're telling people not to tithe. I'm like, clearly you didn't listen to the whole episode. But anyway, a whole other story. But no, it's one of those things that really understanding what the purpose is, and building wealth and taking care of your family is part of it, but
Mhm.
that's just a small part of it, right? And that's where that, if you haven't read the parable of the talents, Wendy pointed out again, Matthew 25, 14 through 30, go through it and really dig into it. Don't just read the words, think about it. Think about why the master was upset with, the individual and not too thrilled about the second one and was really happy with the third one. And how can I apply that to my own life? But
Mhm.
again, money's a tool. If you don't grow it, it can't serve God's purpose in your life and others long
Yeah.
term. So good stuff. And the
And
second one is, oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say one more thing about that is you mentioned this a little bit, but it's fear, right? So the one buried it
Mhm.
because he was afraid of losing it, was afraid of not having it, and wanted to protect it. And so when we're motivated by fear, right, and we don't move forward because of fear, then I mean, it's disobedient. Bottom line is it's disobedient, and
Mhm.
we're
Yeah.
more worried about tomorrow. And the Bible actually says, do not worry about tomorrow, or like tomorrow has enough worry in itself. So we have to be smart with the resources we have today and not operate out of fear of what could come